guys, in today's video we're going to be checking out a driving simulator stand by a company called Spectre Precision Gaming Cockpit, and I believe this is the Carbon edition. And the big difference between this kind of sim stand, it comes in panels, so it's kind of like furniture that you put together. So we have two boxes, a larger one and a smaller one, which has the hardware. The larger box weighs 48 pounds and the smaller one is 7 pounds. So let's go ahead and open the big one first. And this is what we see on top. So it looks to be packed pretty decent. We got some hard corners here and some paper in between. So the very thing on top looks like the cushions. And they're pretty squishy. And another one. This one's actually a lot thinner than the other one. So this must be the back. And that's probably the sitting. So yeah, it definitely is packed pretty well. It's all shrink wrapped. And here, guys, we can see what the panels look like. So it's kind of like a wood composite of some sort, and it's got a pretty nice gray look to it. So I definitely like the way it looks. There's a lot of holes drilled in it, and this is probably for the adjustments of certain pieces. So yeah, this is going to be more like building furniture, I guess. That's probably the best way to put it. A lot of different pieces that we're going to have to put together. So this one looks quite interesting. More panels. They just keep on coming. And that's the last one. And check out this panel here. It has the logo, and I guess it's like a little picture of a ghost, looks like. And that's everything for this box. All right, so let's open the smaller one. This one here probably has all of our hardware and things like that. So we get a little thank you card, a manual. Here it shows us all the pieces, hardware, and the assembly. So there's no actual steps, looks like, but judging by the pictures here, I think we can figure this out pretty quick. And I think we're just gonna build it in a few sections and then put them together. So we have the seat area, and then the pedal mount and the wheel mount. So yeah, shouldn't be too hard. So here we can see all over the hardware, and there's quite a bit of bolts. So yeah, this is gonna probably take a little while to put all together. Bunch of nuts, more smaller bolts, special kind of washers here. And the bag kind of ripped open. But yeah, what's cool is actually these are 3D printed, so that's pretty awesome. Nice to see 3D printing parts being used here. Oh yeah, also we got a bag of washers. We definitely are fans of 3D printing stuff, and if you guys been on this channel, you know that we do 3D printing here. So yeah, this is pretty cool to see parts that were printed. So it looks like we also get cable management for the wires of the simulator, so you can clean them up and it looks nicer. And on the very bottom, we got a few more panels. So yeah, lots of parts, guys, to put together. And these look like actually the side panels for mounting the shifter on either side. All right, and so that's everything for this box. So yeah, we got all these parts around us. And so looking at the manual, we can see that there's a lettering here, kind of like guides you which piece goes where. So like this back one here says A, and then the two side ones are C. But looking at the parts, there's no labels on them at all, which is kind of strange because the parts are all so different the way they look. It should not be a big deal because we can really easily figure out, you know, going to the seat part here. There's only 4 pieces total, and you can figure out, you know, which ones go where. So let's start here. So we got the backrest, this thing here, then we need the 2 sides and the bottom portion that you sit on. And so that's these pieces here. So quite easy to figure out, you know, what they look like according to the picture. So the logo here is going to the back, so this will be one side and then the other. And so the best way to do this is start building from one side. We'll lay this down like this, and then this part here will go like this, if you guys can see maybe. And then our hardware is going to go through the other side, and we are using these longer bolts. And if you guys can see, there's 3 holes here and 2 here. So the one that's closer to the back is the one we're going to use, and then here we can choose how much we want it to lean, either more or less. So judging by the angle here, I'm going to go ahead and lean it all the way back. So we also have a bunch of washers that we need to use. So we're going to put one through the bolt, and then the bolt through the panel. And we're going to do the same thing to this one here. And then we're going to grab the back plate and set it over just like that. Grab our little 3D printed washers. Set them in there through the bolt, and then we're going to grab a couple nuts and start them on there. So yeah, now we can stand it up, and it already kind of holds itself, and you guys can see the lean that we have. But you can adjust this obviously even later after you build it. You just loosen this bolt and then pull it out and go to the next hole. So it looks like they didn't include any kind of tools to tighten this up. You will need some kind of wrench. I'm just going to use this adjustable. All right, and that's pretty tight. So that one's good. And you probably don't want to make that too tight. I might over tighten it a bit because we can kind of see the red part there getting a little extra stress. So yeah, not super tight, just nice and snug. So now we got these two pieces together. So for the next part, instead of doing the other side, we need to go ahead and put that bottom seat in, which goes right here. And you guys can see we have an adjustment here also to go a little higher or lower. All right, so I put 2 bolts through there and I didn't know which one to pick, so I just picked the middle here for the tilt. So yeah guys, same procedure here. We'll grab the bottom part, set it over, and it fits nicely in there. Put in the spacers and the nuts. Now we can go ahead and flip it over and tighten it, but we can also go ahead and build out the other side here, which is this piece here. And that's just gonna simply sit right on top, and it's gonna line up with everything else like we did here on the bottom. So yeah, pretty simple guys. Nothing complicated here, just kind of, you know, putting things together. All right, simple as that. This side is finished. Now we do still need to flip it around and tighten the other side on the bottom piece there. These two right here. But yeah guys, look at that. That's our first piece there, and that's the sitting part. And actually our cushions should fit in there. And they do fit nice and snug, and it looks really nice. So yeah. Now the only issue kind of maybe is this bottom portion where you sit is actually quite narrow, not very long. And so I'm not too sure how comfortable that will be, but I guess we'll see. But the back is plenty tall, looks like. All right, so we're done with that. The next part is the pedal mount, and that consists of these 3 pieces here. Now this is the top of it where your pedals will go on. So that's the bottom where you put your hardware in. And these sit up this way, the handles on the top. And there's only 2 bolts for each side. And if we align it up, basically here we have 3 adjustments, starting with the first, second, and third. So that's basically getting closer and then getting farther away. And then we got 2 positions, either more on an angle or more flatter. So I think I'm gonna go with the middle one, and I like this angle anyways. It seems about right. So I'm gonna use the middle one here and this one here that's lower down. So yeah, I believe that's going to be good right there. I'm gonna go ahead and tighten those, and then I'll do the other side. All right, and our pedal mount is finished, and this is what it looks like. And so we got our seat and our front part where the pedals go built, and now we just have to build the middle. Now the reason they make you do this is because all of the pieces are adjustable. And if you can see all these holes here, so you can bring it closer or farther away according, you know, to how you need it and for your body size. And so the next part is called the wheel mount, and that's these 3 pieces here. So this part here is even simpler. There's also just 4 points. And we're just connecting here to the top. And you guys can see that we also have higher and lower adjustment here. Now on this one, I think we're gonna go all the way up because it looks like it's already pretty small distance from the bottom. So with the piece facing this way, kind of see this mouth here. This is the part that goes towards the chair. And I got 2 bolts in there. So on the top panel, the little hole here actually goes towards you. All right, and this is what it looks like. So you guys look at the shape, it's not very complicated. And the little hole goes that way. So yeah, now we're just gonna grab this thing and set it over. And look at that, it's starting to really take shape here. So yeah, for the next part, we just need to figure out how far and close every part needs to be, and then put the bolts through to lock it in, and that'll solidify the whole frame. Now there are a couple side pieces still that go out this way, and that's what's used for the shifter. And I'm gonna wait to put that in after I adjust it for where I want it to be. And before we can adjust anything, we need to go ahead and mount our pedals and wheel to the different parts, because without the hardware, you're not really gonna know, you know, how far you need each piece to be. So we're using the Logitech G920, which is for the Xbox. We've had this wheel for a few years and we definitely enjoying it. So let's go ahead and grab it and we'll set it on here. And also let's grab the pedals. Now the only thing that's kind of, I guess, a bit unfortunate is that this kit doesn't come with the hardware to mount the Logitech, which I wish they would have included because most people probably won't have it. So they're counting on you to get the actual hardware. So keep that in mind. The wheel does clamp and the shifter can clamp, but the pedals have to have the bolts to mount. And it looks like they do have the holes that will match up. But yeah, now that we got the pedals and the wheel, now it's all a matter of just kind of lining it up and getting in there and trying it out and see what needs to go forward and backwards. Because basically you're sitting in the seat and then you're going to move this piece here closer and farther according to, you know, how the wheel feels. And then when that's good, then you're going to move the pedals either closer or farther. And then we're just gonna clamp it all down, and it's simple as that. All right guys, so after going back and forth here with this thing, I finally got it all together. I did find a couple bolts for the pedals and the wheel, so the holes match up nicely with Logitech, but you will need your own bolts. I'm not exactly sure what thread type, but if you do know, leave a comment below. But yeah, basically the three pieces are now sandwiched together, and you guys can see I got two bolts over here that are sandwiching this back part to the middle part. If you guys noticed, I flipped the bolts around where these stick out to the outside, and that way you don't, cut yourself while you're in there. And same thing here. So I just kind of moved them back and forth until, I thought it was just right. Now I did adjust it a little bit closer than I would like, and that's because I got some boys that are a bit smaller than me. I had to kind of go between my size and theirs, considering that they could probably put a pillow behind them to, go forward. But yeah, both sides are done, and pretty much that is the extent of this thing as a whole. And just initially looking at it here, it looks really cool. It has a really racy vibe to it. Now we're not finished yet because we are using a shifter, so we do need to install the side panel here, and they do include for both sides, but I think I'm just going to install the one on the right side for the shifter. And so this panel here matches up with these two holes right here, and then the supporting leg goes basically like this. All right, so the shifter plate is on, and yeah, it looks pretty good. It is a little bit bulky and kind of wide, especially for this shifter, but and also there's no mounting points here anywhere, so yeah, it's all going to be clamp. You could drill a couple holes if you wanted to, mark them and drill them, but I think for the shifter I should be fine just clamping it down. So yeah, that should be good right there, and I got it all the way to the edge because that's about where it needs to be, seems like. So, and that's actually on there really solid, so maybe it's not that big of a deal as I thought, because this thing has a really good grip, so yeah, I think it's going to be just fine. So now we just need to do a little bit of wire management, and this is where this sleeve comes in, and we're just going to put all the wires in it and kind of clean them up going down. All right, and that turned out really good. So I just put the wire inside, and that really cleaned it up. And not only that, it kind of puts the cables away from, the pedals. So yeah, guys, as you can see here, this thing is not very hard to put together. There's only a few steps really. And then it's just fine tuning it and adjusting it to your size. And that's pretty much it. It's ready to go. All right, guys, so I got everything set up, and yeah, it looks really good. And we are using the Xbox Series X with a Vizio 40-inch 4K TV. So we got a pretty nice video quality there. And I am using a floating stand to hold the TV there so it does roll around. And we got Marcus with us, and Marcus is going to try out the simulator stand. So Marcus, do you fit in there, or is it a little far? I did bring some pillows so you can reach it. So yeah, guys, you can see Marcus is what, about 4'7", are you? Yeah, 4'7", 8", something like that. So, and also, guys, this Xbox Series X fit under this bracket here perfectly. We just got the wires coming out the back and connecting to everything we need. So yeah, it's a pretty nice clean setup here. So I guess we'll be playing Forza Horizon 4. Go ahead and start it up, Marcus. All right, and away he goes. So yeah guys, this thing is really fun. And I fit in it pretty much perfect, and adding a couple pillows for Marcus and he's pretty good to go too. So we did get a chance to play with this thing for quite a bit off camera, and one of the main things that we noticed right away is how sturdy it is. Even though you wouldn't think it'd be too sturdy, but the way the construction is, the feedback on the wheel goes through these panels here and it doesn't flex at all. So yeah, at least for Logitech, it's very solid feeling. Same thing for the pedals. Yeah, no fluctuations of any kind there either. So, and surprisingly, the shifter's holding on just fine, and I don't think there's any issues with that either. Now the only thing that we did notice is that when I sit down, which is about 190 pounds, this thing does creak a bit, but you know, it's kind of understandable. There's only so many bolts that are holding it together. Yeah, other than that, the frame is very solid. Also guys, keep in mind that this is a budget kind of frame, and for some of the shortcomings that it has, it is a pretty great value. Now another thing that's a little bit maybe could be a negative for some is that it is really low profile, so getting in and out of it is, you know, I guess could be a little bit of a challenge, but that's not really a big deal. Now the thing that could be a big deal is that because the seat is so low, I mean we're talking about like 68 inches there from the bottom of the floor, because you're sitting low, your legs are stretched out straight out, which definitely is a more funner way to play, but over time you could get a little fatigued always having your legs kind of straight, I guess, instead of bent if the seat, let's say, was higher and your legs kind of go down to the pedal. So yeah, that's the only other thing that could be an issue. But I played this thing for about an hour and a half, and after about an hour and a half, I would say up to 2 hours, that's when you start to feel a little bit uncomfortable. And it's definitely not the cushions. So the surprisingly very soft, and you could sit on it very long, and the shortness of the seat doesn't seem to really bother me. It's just mostly being so low and having your legs straight out. But everybody's different, so depending on, you know, who you are, and if you are the kind of person that likes that position, then this more suited for the low profile kind of sitting. So I think this is a pretty great starter kind of simulator stand, or if you're like a teenager or if you got children, this actually would be perfect for them. You know, not only does it look really cool, I personally like the design and the way it's cut out and made. It gives it a really nice racy vibe. It also accommodates smaller kind of body types. I feel like much better than, you know, if you're a really large person, let's say over 250 pounds, this might not be the best thing for you. But in any case guys, hopefully you enjoyed this review of the Spectre Carbon Cockpit. If you are interested in it, I'm going to leave some links in the description. Check it out. And if you enjoyed this video, then hit that like button. Check out our other videos. We have a few other simulators we've done reviews on. And also check out my other channel, Viral. I do product B-roll there. And as always guys, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.